Hello.
Yeah, that's your name.
Squirrels got me.
Big Jim.
Yeah.
Really cold and fun.
Cold and fun.
Cold and fun.
That's good that you think that of it, because that's what deer hunting typically is cold and fun.
Yesterday morning, I'm glassing up on the pass, and I see these deer moving, and I'm like, ooh, there's some deer moving. All of a sudden, I just see this person just head down, just hauling ass, wearing shorts and a t-shirt with a pack on. And I'm like, is that Tard? My dad always talks about floating through the woods like the autumn breeze.
So Robert's
when you're
the
275 pounds, I don't know how you do that, but
the Freightliner. It's just like a creeper. You're just kind of up in the corner watching what's going on down there.
yeah.
You know,
He's like,
he's up there slapping it, pissing all over everything.
is it warm yet?
How did you know the name of the actor?
I know.
How did you say his name?
Hervé Villechaize. Remember this?
You know what pert near means.
If you know what pert near means and you live in America, you're a redneck too.
Welcome to the Log Talk Podcast, brought to you by Pert Near Outdoors. It's that time of year. It's that time of year where we all need to be thinking about, do we have everything we need to hit the woods? Chances are you don't, and if you think you do, you probably could use some more. So how about you go over to thehuntworks.com and check out all the incredible products these guys are carrying. This is a great family, local store. Dan and Steve Dunnigan, a couple hardworking sumbitches. They are now carrying archery equipment, everything from bows to arrows to broadheads, quivers, you name it. So on top of all the great tree stands and box blinds that they're carrying, they're now a full-on archery dealer, and really recommend that you check these guys out for your next big purchase. Head over to thehuntworks.com to see what they've got for sale, or if you're local in the Rochester area, head on over to their store in East Rochester on Dispatch Drive and check them out. They are on social media, The Huntworks, and also online, like I said. And if you purchase anything online, you can use promo code FEEDIN'Em to get 5% off. And that's FEED, FEEDIN, INUM, 5% off. Feed 'em. All right, we're back. It's been a couple weeks. Thanks for being patient. The old Slick Willy here has been busier than the three-pecker billy goat, and I am happy to try to get ourselves back on track here as we are marching into October, ready to start chasing old Wiley whitetails. So this week, Dad is joining us. Dad has just returned from his first elk hunt to Colorado. Big adventure for him. He went out there with his brother Tim to Bear Creek Outfitters, which is kind of on the western side of the state, over south of Glenwood Springs. So looking forward to hearing this chat here. I hope you enjoy it. We kind of covered the whole thing from front to back to front, and you'll enjoy the chat. So you'll hear that here. And I guess the only main announcement I want to make is just to let everybody know that we have ordered some new merch. Dad kind of hinted at that here. I haven't really pushed it that hard. We got a pre-order going on right now, and by pre-order, I mean if you order your stuff, you will just get the first batch of it when it comes in. So I kind of placed a stock order, essentially, of baseball caps. We got 3 different hats, a blaze orange patch hat. We got a camouflage patch hat, and a kind of just a regular casual color heather gray charcoal hat. Looks pretty sharp. So these are all Richardson ball caps. Very nice, coming from our good friend down at Whitetail Company, Mr. Rusty Design himself. He has hooked us up, and he's got the stuff coming, and we will probably have the hats. I would say he's thinking that they probably be middle of October. We'll be seeing them, but then we also ordered some hoodies and T-shirts on top of that, and those should be in probably in the next couple of weeks, I think so. So if you go, you can certainly purchase them on the website. If you'd like to buy them directly from me with the old greenbacks, that would be great. You can just reach out however you communicate with me and let me know what you'd want, and we can connect once the stuff comes in. But, yeah, so I got baseball caps, and then I've got the hoodie and T-shirt, and then also got a knit hat as well coming. So looking forward to having that stuff and getting it out there to everybody as deer season is upon us. And I think the new logo on the T-shirt, the Feeding Them logo that we use on the beer can, looks pretty damn badass. And got that same style rubber PVC patch that we had on the last batch of hats we made a couple years ago. That was a big hit. So if you want some gear, it's there. I'm not going to order more. So I got a batch of a box of each hats, and I've got limited numbers of each size in the hoodies and T-shirts. So if you want them, don't sit on your finger. Get right after that. Get them ordered, and let me know what you want so I can start marking them down, who's getting what. And once they're gone, they're gone. So thank you, everybody. I hope you have a great weekend. We are one step closer to chasing whitetails. And a matter of fact, I think next weekend, Saturday is the 1st of October, and we will legally here in the southern part of New York be able to get out and start chasing deer. So get fired up, people. What we love is here, and it's the best time of year. So get that honey-do list done so you can get out there and start feeding them. See ya. No.
And Julia stayed home today she came home yesterday with a fever. Gave him to school on Tuesday. So that's how she goes right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Brian was out most of this week, right?
Yeah, he said he was sick 1 or 2 days, but then I guess they didn't want him coming back into the office. So
yeah,
I don't know if he went back today or not. Yeah, it seems like everybody I talk to is dealing with something right now.
Yep.
I will say it's the perfect time of year to get sick because it should be good for deer season now.
Yeah, exactly. Get it out of the way.
Get it out of the way now, and hopefully we don't have to worry about it again.
I've got you live on the podcast here, Dallas. My dad and I are going live right now.
All right.
So, congrats on winning that gun. I'm pretty happy for you. That's a badass gun.
Yeah, I'm not a lucky person either, so it's been a rough week too, so hopefully things are turning around a little bit.
It's all up from here.
I guess so.
I love it. That's great.
Whether it be Vanguard, it's a nice gun.
Yeah, it's the high country, so I'm assuming it's like a lighter gun, so that'll be perfect for running the hills in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, I mean, I hate to ever give up my 270, but that thing is just like carrying a sack of bricks around. It's so freaking heavy. So it's ironically, I was just thinking today that, or maybe it was yesterday, I was watching some of those HK tracker videos.
Yeah.
And they're carrying around those super short, well, I guess he carries a Remington, but I guess I was watching some of Hal Blood's stuff too. They're carrying those super short, light lever action rifles, and I'm like, man, that would be cool too, and have something little like that to carry around because it's such a burden on hunting those steep mountains with those big heavy rifles. I mean, I like that gun because that's what I like to shoot. It does the job every time, but it's such a burden carrying around.
Yes, it is.
So yeah, maybe I'll have to try something new this year.
Well, you have a new gun to do that, if you so please. And if you want to give it to your best friend who brought you to the event, that would be awfully nice of you to do that. I wouldn't have a problem with that.
I was wondering why you didn't call me this week to see if I wanted to go today because I had been planning on going, but there's no way I was going feeling like
No, and I didn't go either. So I was shitting my pants because I was putting the kids to bed. Sarah's not home. I was putting the kids to bed, and I come back out to my phone, and I got a missed phone call from Sean Burdick. I'm like, why would he be calling me? And then all of a sudden, I'm like, oh my God, I might have won the gun. And then so I try calling him right back, and he doesn't answer. And then I look at my text messages, and Ben Williams is like, freaking Dallas won the gun. I was like, that's outstanding. So, all right, I'm gonna cut you loose. I'm gonna get going with Dad here. I haven't talked to him a lick since he got back from his hunting trip, so we're gonna talk a little bit about his elk hunt.
All right, I'll put Bullhorn on drive here.
Roger. Thanks, Dallas.
All right, talk to you later.
See ya. Big Willie, can you hear me?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. Let me turn you up a little bit.
How's that? Check 1 2
That's
1 2.
perfect. You sound great.
Oh,
Oh,
the headphones tonight. I thought that might help.
it definitely helps. You sound nice and clear. How are you, Big Willie? We haven't talked. We haven't.
Oh, I'm doing well.
Yeah. Good to be home.
Yeah, kind of like total focus has been this trip, since I retired and getting ready for it and getting equipment and clothing and hiking and planning, and then it's over, and now what?
Isn't that funny how that works? It's the way all these trips go is, you spend every winking moment you have that you can, you're thinking about it. And then it's literally over before it gets started, it seems. It's hilarious.
Yeah, months of prep.
Yep.
Months.
But is it, I would, I guess I would wonder how you feel about it, but it's the anticipation about the hunt that it gives you anxiety, it stresses you out. And then once it's over, it's like, it's actually a kind of a relief. Like you hope that you punched a tag, you hope you had some sort of an opportunity, but when you're pulling out of there to head home, and you're, wrapping it up, it's like, that's good. I'm glad it's done. Now I can go and focus on every other thing that's important in my life.
That's right. Yeah, it was. It seemed like the week was dragging on, but at the same time, if it makes any sense, like flying by, just like it was such a long trip. We took 3 full days to drive out there. Got hotel rooms on Friday night and Saturday night, and I just couldn't fathom how you could drive that straight through. But on the way back, we left Bear Creek Outfitters, pulled out about 3:30, and we drove straight through till 5:30 Saturday afternoon. We stopped in Ashland, Ohio. We had 4 hours and 45 minutes to go, and I told Tim, we can keep on trucking. I'm fine, we'll keep going. We'll get home tonight. But he's like, well, it'd be nice if we stop and we get a hotel room and, have a nice dinner and some drinks. And then tomorrow we got an easy drive. We're home by noon or 1 o'clock, So we ended up stopping and, but we felt good. But it was like, I couldn't, when I was driving, he was sleeping. When I was driving, or when he was driving, I was sleeping. So it actually worked out fine. We made great time, no traffic through the middle of the night. And worst part of the drive was getting from camp to the east side of Denver. Once we got there, it was like wide open highways, through Kansas and Missouri. I think we were into Missouri by daybreak. So a little before daybreak, actually. I took back over driving at 5:30 a.m. and drove through Missouri. So it wasn't bad. It was a great trip. Coming back was awesome. I would rather than foregoing, 3 full days, I'd drive straight through if I was going to do it again.
Yeah, I mean that's certainly been our experience, but I totally understood why you, especially on your first trip, you didn't want to be, in a rush when you didn't really have to be. You guys. So to kind of get back to square one, so I had so many expectations of having all these discussions all summer long about you prepping for this hunt and getting a new bow and new equipment, and the summer, I don't know where it went. It just vanished and disappeared.
It flew by.
Yeah. So you retired at the end of June. You had this was on your list immediately. You and Tim had been planning this almost a year in advance that you were going to go on this elk hunt back to the same outfitter where he and Uncle Chris went last year, kind of on the western side of Colorado. Bear Creek Outfitters is the name of the outfitters. Tim had met them maybe 3 or 4 years ago at the outdoor show up in Buffalo. They seem to always come out to that show, and Tim had met them and really kind of hit it off and got a good vibe from them about how they run their operation and what the experience is like there at their camp, and that led ultimately to you looking into him looking into going there, and we kind of looked like we were going to go with a big group several years ago. Would have ended up being the 2019 season. And that kind of fell through. I ended up going and doing my own backcountry hunt with the guys, and and you weren't quite ready with everything going on at work with school. And so it ended up being the last year, 2021, that he and Uncle Chris went there for the first time, and they fell in love with it and really enjoyed their experience at camp. So that kind of giving a little bit of the backstory. So now we, back right after Labor Day, the following weekend, you and Uncle Tim were packing up the truck and heading westbound. I think you left Friday, right? Friday before.
Yeah, we left Friday
Labor
morning.
Day.
I think we left around. We left around 7 o'clock Friday morning, and the trip out. I had pre-packed the truck. I got all the coolers and got everything here, and did a dry run and took a picture of it so I knew right where everything would go and how it would fit. And so it was like I loaded up Thursday and then picked him up and put his stuff in, and we were on the road and rolling in no time. So that all went very well. The packing, the gear, I probably brought too much as far as clothing.
Mm-hmm.
And when I mean clothing to wear, like non-hunting clothing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, not terrible. Just, like I had a small suitcase, but, I only use like half of what I brought. That's usually the way it goes. But
yeah, that's exactly how it goes.
But I didn't know, after you do a trip like that, you know what you can leave behind, And I was thinking you would ask me if I wanted the Garmin InReach. And I was like, no, we're going to have radios. They'll tighten us up with some radios. But they had so many people in camp and some more guides that they hired that they didn't have enough radios. So they weren't giving anybody radios. So, you're out there on your own, which, no big deal. I just went to my stand location and stayed there and came back, but I'll tell you, Thursday morning, I wish I had a radio because we were like hedging the weather, Tim and I. We were having some heavy rain and it was supposed to be over by 6:30, 7 o'clock. And we're like, it ought to be great as soon as the rain ends, So we're like, we're going to go for it. So we headed out at like 5:45 and they dropped me off up on the mountain to go to the cattail stand. No, it was probably 6:05 or so. It took us like 20 minutes to get up there. And they drive off in the Jeep. They're headed up the mountain to drop Tim off, and all hell breaks loose. It was just a deluge. It was.
Oh no.
Oh, it was pouring. And I got, I don't know, probably 500 yards to go down this hill and through this oak brush and get to the cattail stand. So, what are you going to do, right? You can't call for a dust off. I mean, you're committed now.
Was it like Forrest Gump style rain? Was it?
Yeah, it was brutal.
From the bottom up, Jenny.
So we, but I got, and it was so foggy, like the mountains were right in the clouds, and I broke into this little meadow where the stand is, and I had to keep the cattails. I knew the terrain, but I mean, you couldn't see, 20 yards,
No shit.
So I was just keeping the cattails to my right, and because if I got off that and wandered off, it'd be a sticky wicket. So, but I made it to the stand fine, got in there, and I had my rain jacket on, which worked great, and my hood. I was dry. I mean, I was fine. All my gear got completely soaked. It felt like there was standing water in my backpack when I got back to camp. But so we had to dump empty everything out of the backpack, spread it all out, get everything dried as best we could for the evening hunt, and then do the evening hunt, come back, unpack everything again to let it dry some more. But
so this was in the morning. This was in the morning.
What's that?
This was in the morning that you got rained on?
Yeah, rain, and it was supposed to be done raining by 6:30, 7 o'clock. It didn't stop raining. It rained right through to like 10 o'clock. And
damn.
I could hear up in the mountains there, like off in the distance, I could hear like Jeeps. You could hear the tires spinning, and I could tell them like, oh, people are getting stuck, taking hunters out and stuff, And when we got back, it was like all hands on deck, trying to get chains on vehicles and go out and get hunters that they weren't able to reach, and for their pickups. And one of the guides, Mike, there, he dropped off our roommate. We ended up having two roommates, which was first you're like, oh God, I thought we'd have a cabin to ourselves. It ended up being like absolutely awesome. There was two guys from Arkansas named Dion and Wade.
Nice.
And they were just awesome. Wade would remind you of like Willie Robertson, only a little slighter in build, but he was a really cool guy. They're both, I mean, just awesome guys. And Wade stayed in that morning, and by the time we got back, he was laughing at us. He's like, "Yeah, I told you, boy, you should have stayed in bed." But no, those guys were great. And Mike went to take Dion out that morning, and he got Dion out there, but he couldn't get back. He had a big Suburban, and that was stuck, so he slept in it until the rain quit, and then walked back and took a four-wheeler and went to get Dion, and some aspen had fallen across the road, so the roads were blocked, so we had to come all the way back and go around the whole ranch to get him. So it was funny. But our guy did good. We had the same kid that Tim and Chris had last year. His name is Corey. Was Corey Pancake. He's from Illinois, and he actually works in Terre Haute, which is where we spent the first night. So he was our guide, and I don't know, he did a fantastic job, both, of guiding and driving. He's just super nice young fella, probably in his early 20s, mid 20s, and he's a union carpenter, and he takes a whole archery season off. He comes in mid-August and stays till the end of September, and leaves before first rifle. So yeah, it was very pleased with the guide, very accommodating, whatever we needed. And yeah, so I hunted the same stand all 5 days.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it was like I was in a wallow. Well, there was like water right in front of me, and they built this stand. I'll share a picture of it with you, but it's like an old metal frame. It was probably no more than 7 feet tall. Then they built a wooden deck on top of it with it had a railing around it with old wood, and it had like netting and camouflage hanging off it. And then it kind of had a half-ass little roof on it, which was good for your average guy. But when you're built the way I'm built, I could not stand up and shoot. So I was going to have to take any shots from a seated position, So I ended up taking some stuff out with me, and I elevated the chair up about an inch or two. And then I took some spare hunting clothes I took with me and put those on the seat to get me up. So I was up about a total of 3 inches so that I could get like a 20-yard shot,
Okay.
And have my arrow clear the railing around me.
Yep.
But it was a great spot. I saw a ton of mule deer. I saw 27 mule deer on stand. There was only 2 sits where I didn't have mule deer there. And at times I had them right under me 3 yards away,
No kidding. Were they,
I think it was Friday.
Did
Friday
they,
morning I had mule deer, and they're feeding. There's you'd see these rocks, these big rocks, and around 2-3 feet out around the rocks, it was just dirt, like it was just down to dirt. And I was watching the mule deer with binoculars, and they were them darn things they would eat that dirt. They were eating at that dirt, and then they would for 20 minutes I had a doe mule deer standing there eating that dirt and then licking her lips. And so I don't know, there had to be some sort of mineral that those rocks were releasing.
Why are we getting all that feedback? I'm hearing that feedback. I don't know what the hell that's all about. It had to have been minerals. That's interesting. So
yeah.
So that I guess is that what you expected, to be kind of in the same spot the whole time, or did you think you'd be bouncing around? Was it because they had so many guys in camp that you were kind of relinquished to the spot that they gave you?
Well, I think there was other open spots, and they had a high degree of confidence. There'd been great activity at this spot.
Uh-huh.
And you're still getting the feedback, or no?
No, you're good.
So there was a lot of activity at this spot, and just a couple days before I went there, started my hunt, they had a 5x5 in that bog, or in that wallow, and he actually mounted a doe right there in front of the camera, and I could see all the tracks. I mean, it was all punched up with elk tracks, but they must have been coming at night. And I think it was 9 o'clock at night that they had that 5x5 there.
Yeah.
So would have been Thursday afternoon. About 20 yards behind me, there's some oak brush, and there's a few trees, and the game would come out between those. There was game trails, and you've seen them up there. The game trails are like hiking paths. You think it's like a hiking trail. Being Mendon Ponds are unbelievable, and I walked back. There's a little bit of a meadow on the other side of that. There's just like a row of trees and a little bit of a meadow. And I walked back there and just took a peek. I don't know, probably Tuesday midday, and there was game trails crossing that. And then Thursday, I heard there was a cow mewing, and she went from, as I'm looking, like went from my behind me on my left across to my right. I thought they were going to come right out, and they didn't. They kept going and like dropped down into the over a ridge there into some other oak brush. But I also heard I didn't know. I repeated the noise for my guide, and he said that was a chuckle. It was like, you know how the elk will Google, and then there'll be a chuckle at the end, you know.
Yep.
And almost like grunting, you know. And I heard that. It was very, very clear and profound. So there was.
And that was right after the cow had done that.
That was with the cow. It kind of went across. There was a couple times I heard a chuckle. So there was elk moving right behind me.
That sucks.
And so I don't know whether, you know, was it wind? The wind was variable depending on the weather. We had some weather. Sunday was hot. We didn't hunt Sunday. We got into camp, shot our bows, got set up and everything. Monday was just blue skies, sunshine, hot, you know, in the upper 80s, which makes it tough on the elk and all the game, really, you know.
Yeah, they're not out in the wide open at a wallow at, you know, in the broad daylight when it's like that.
No.
They want to be in the timber.
Yep. So, yeah, but to answer your question, I never, like, if they felt that they should pull me off that spot, you know, I'd have been fine with that. But, you know, they felt that there was as good an opportunity there as anywhere. And, you know, I didn't want to be that guy that's like, oh, I didn't see anything today. I was seeing stuff every single day.
Yeah.
So it's not like I wasn't seeing game. So I was content, and I had a view that you would not believe. You know, I took some pictures of the mountains off in the distance that I could see. It was absolutely, I mean, it was spectacular, the view I had. So I just enjoyed sitting there, you know, and read a book, you know, and hung out and took it all in. There was a gal that was hunting with us. There was three of us with Corey. This woman, her name was Susie. And I don't know if Susie's listening, she'd probably be mad if I get it wrong, but I guess she was maybe 70 or so, or early 70s.
Mm.
She was a retired phys ed teacher from Arkansas. And her husband come up, and her husband, Tom, helps out Tim, the owner. He's like a mechanic, and he fixes everything from four-wheelers to the trucks and tractors and stuff. So he was doing like vehicle work, and she was hunting. And she had hunted my stand for a couple days, the one I was in. And then when I got there, they moved her to a stand called the Couch. And she ended up on Wednesday, she shot a nice cow. She was shooting a crossbow.
Nice.
So she shot a cow in the evening sit. And then this other guy, Bruce, that was there, he was another guy who was probably around 70. But Bruce was also shooting a crossbow, and he wanted to move to the Couch because the previous week, I don't know if you saw it on Facebook, but if you follow their page, they had a 78-year-old guy, Skip, that shot a 5x5.
Yep, I saw that.
And yeah, he was sitting in the Couch and stand. So that stand produced that 5x5, and then like 5-6 days later, they got a cow out of it. So then Bruce is like, you know, I want the Couch tomorrow. If nobody's in it, I want to move to the Couch. So they put him in the Couch stand the next day, and that evening he shot a cow that was just, I didn't even know. I mean, I thought hers was big. I thought Susie's was big, and I took pictures, and I'm like, God, that thing is enormous. And then Bruce shot this one, and it was like way bigger than Susie's. You know, I don't know. They estimated maybe 800 pounds or something dressed.
Wow, that's a big cow. That's a really big cow.
It was. I'm looking at that, thinking of you guys. I remember when Tard shot that bull up in the area you hunt, and you guys had like a 7-mile pack out.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, how in the hell would you carry one of those hindquarters? They're so big.
Yeah.
They're huge.
Well, I'll do you one better. This isn't part of your story, but last Saturday, we, myself, Brian, Dallas, and Bob, we get a text message from Tard, and it's a picture, it's a selfie of him. You know, it's just it's a weird selfie picture. He's down. It's his face with the fronts of a bull with his bow. Like you can see a bow like leaning on the horns, and and the caption on the picture is like, "How do you like me now, bitches?" And and we're all like, what's going on? Like we knew that I still like I need to reach out to him and call him, but he's classic because he doesn't tell us anything about what he's doing. He doesn't elaborate. He just sends you a picture with a caption like that. But then he sent us a couple more pictures of him with a bowl by himself that he must have set his camera up and sat back with the bowl. It looks like it's a nice 5x5. Maybe right around or a little bit smaller than what he shot the last time, but he shot it with his bow by himself. And I'm pretty sure he was in Colorado. I'm pretty sure he was in the spot that we've been hunting the last several years. And if you shoot a bull in there, you shoot any elk in there by yourself.
Oh my God.
Like you've got several days worth of work to get that elk out of there. And so
I would imagine
I got to talk to him, and he's not much for sharing what he loves, just kind of being under the radar. He doesn't do social media or anything, but I can't wait to hear that story from him, because what an adventure that had to be. And he's been trying to shoot a bull in there, an elk in there with his bow. He's been trying to do that for 4 years now. You know, he keeps going back with his bow, and then when muzzleloader deer opens, he'll take his gun out instead of his bow. But my God, like, I'm very excited to hear that story. But to see awesome. To see those things up close it's something. They are just, we're so used to whitetails. We're used to 100 pound, 150 pound animal, and then you put a 800-900 pound beast in front of you. It's completely different.
Well, it's like the cow, you know. You get an 800 pound animal. I mean, that's like 8 of our average whitetail does, you know.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I just like to see it, to stand there with one on the meat pole, which the meat pole is probably, I don't know, 14 or 16 feet high, you know, and now I see why.
Yeah.
You know, you put a gambrel on these things and hoist them up, and those boys would skin them right down, and they'd get them apart and put them right in the cooler that night, you know.
So how do they, what's the process there? How does it look? All right, well, we're going to get to that. But so how does this, because I never really got it from Uncle Tim, like, how does their operation work? It seems like they got a base camp with a couple like separate cabins there all around the base camp is what it kind of seems like. And then they've got, you know, they take the hunters out to, they've got set up stands all over this. How many acres is it, roughly?
8,000.
8,000. So it looks like from the satellite imagery, like it must be like gas lease land or something. Like they must lease the hunting rights to it. So it's got a bunch of like gas well.
So the ranch, it's actually Hotchkiss Ranch. And it's actually, you know, it's a working ranch. They do mostly sheep. I think they had like 4,000 sheep on it.
Oh, okay, cool.
And they have these Peruvian sheep herders. And they actually were done grazing the sheep on the part of the ranch, on the Hotchkiss Ranch proper, if you will, that we were hunting. And they had moved them up over the top into the Gunnison National Forest. And they were moving the herd down, and I guess it'd be like north towards paddocks. You know, they would bring them out of there probably before the snow flies.
Gotcha.
So, yeah, they take the herd and they summer it there, the flock, and then they move them up over the mountain. And some of the guides, like there was this gal that was there. She was new. Her name is Drea. Andrea is her name, but they call her Drea, and she would run supplies out to the sheep herders. Okay. So this base camp also in some way supports, you know, their movement, and they got a big tractor there, and I think they take that tractor out and they move they have like a wagon that's got it's got a shitter on it and all their supplies, and I would imagine tents and stuff. And
so the herders live right with the sheep throughout the entire summer.
Those guys are up in there the whole time, just living out there.
Wow, that's wild.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, so and then they also have sold the mineral rights to the place, if you will, or gas rights, and so there's active drilling and fracking or whatever going on there, and extraction of natural gas. But none of that you really see. There's that's part of the reason some of the roads are. I'll tell you, the driveway into the place is 5 miles long, uphill, up through a canyon. And it's like, I mean, you know how Colorado can be. It's a steep canyon.
Yeah.
Whichever side the downhill's on, I mean, there's like nothing. It just drops off, And all the way up that road, that whole 5 miles, and then beyond the base camp, there was probably I'm guessing it was a 10 or 12-inch water main that they laid up through there this summer. Because the next phase of drilling, apparently they need water. So I figured they were running water down that pipe, but they're actually pumping it up onto the hill. I don't know how. I mean, they must have one hellacious pump.
Probably for fracking, right? So they don't have to truck the water. They're probably pumping the water up there.
Yeah, because there's no trucking it up there. So he said they spent $1.5 million running that water up that hill.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy. So yeah, when you get up, you go up through that ravine, up through that gully, you get up to the top. I think when we went in, we're at like 6,200 feet down at the road on 133, and when we got up to base camp, we're like at 7,800 feet. And then they have that main lodge I told you about, and then they had, I'm going to say maybe eight different cabins there, and there's a bigger one that I guess was one of their original lodges for hunters, but now that's occupied by all the guides.
Okay.
And then they use that. They have the toilet facilities in there on one end, and then they have a bunch of these smaller cabins that some of them hold 2 people, some of them hold 4 or 5, and so they have those camps there. And then they have 2 remote base camps. One is called Cottonwood, and the other one is I can't remember what the other one was, Pine Top or something like that, but it was they're like way out. And so when you go out there, typically you take your own food, your own water. You can bring your own ATVs, which some guys did. But there was a group there from Texas, and they brought this one guy with them, and his job was just going to be to cook, and they were staying up at Pine Top or High Pine or whatever they called that one. And they, you wouldn't want to drive your pickup up to these remote camps. I mean, I've looked into. Remember about 4 years ago, we were looking into going to the remote camps. Yeah, you don't want to be driving your trucks back there.
No, it's that rough.
So, oh my God!
So you'd be taking a side by side or a 4-wheeler and using that to get up there.
So these guys from Texas, obviously they paid extra for it, but they got Tim to give them a Suburban that was jacked up. It had like a 6-inch lift kit in it. And they buy old iron and they take it up there and run the snot out of it on the mountain.
Huh.
And so they were hauling. I think they wanted the remote camp, but they also wanted support, so they'd come down and get food and water and so on and so forth. So.
Do you know? Did they have any success up there? Do you know?
No, they did not.
And that,
I mean, they got into bulls. They were like calling. Well, they had Drea. I don't know if it was part of that group, but Drea had a client, and she was calling for him, and she was telling me that she called in 3 bulls, and the guy passed on all 3 of them.
Oh.
And she looked at at different times, like different mornings or whatever. Yeah. And she said to him, she's like, "You've never shot an elk, have you?" And he's like, "No." And she's like, "Well, what do you do? I'm bringing these things into 20 yards for you, And so he ended up, I think he shot the 4th bull she brought in.
Wow.
And then there was these Amish guys, the father and the son, that they were in Cottonwood, and they had a driver that brought them, and they stayed at the main lodge. And then the guy's wife, she stayed at the lodge and just like crocheted or knitted or whatever you call it, watched TV. And it was funny. One day she asked if if there was any place she could go for a walk, and they said, "Yeah, you go out back in the main lodge, and there's a trail heads up the hill, and then you just go up a little bit, and it levels off, and you can there's a loop there. You can go walk that trail." And so she headed out, and Wasn't long, she came running back, and her eyes were like that big around. She's like, "There's a bear up there."
Oh my gosh.
So she ran into a bear up there, and so she never left the lodge again after that. And but those guys every year, I guess those Amish guys come, and they don't want any guides. They don't want anybody. Just take them up there, leave them, and they come out with 2 bulls every year.
No shit.
Said the guys are unbelievable. They're just like out calling and chasing them and hardcore.
That's cool.
Yep. So there was another guy that Drea took out that I think he missed like 3 or 4 bulls that she called in. So this Drea, I think she was from, I don't want to say Oregon or somewhere up that way. And she hooked up with these guys at one of the shows. You know, they do these shows like the Hamburg show, the Harrisburg show, and to drum up clients and promote their business. And they met her, and so they offered her a position. Let me tell you something. This girl, I guess, I don't know, she's probably in her mid-20s, late 20s. Holy cow. This girl was like on a mission, man. She was like hardcore, just like always on the go, always on the move. Had her own truck, and she'd be like, go get her client, take him out. And she was chasing these elk all over that mountain and all over the Gunnison. And yeah, she was unbelievable. But the reason I tell you that is because the philosophy of this elk hunting lodge has been, especially during the rut season here and everything, is that they have a very unique situation in that they have water and they have the roadways from the ranch and the mining and everything. So they're very strong believers in, like, they have a resident elk herd, and the philosophy is like, let the elk do what they do and hunt the water. You know, we know where they're going to be. And so, you know, let's just not push them out of there. And then if they want to run and gun and call, they go up onto the Gunnison.
Yeah.
So they also had another guy, a new guide that Drea brought in. His name was Tyler. And then another kid, Jack. And they were both like real gung-ho callers, you know. It's like, why aren't we calling? Let's go out and chase them, you know. And but I guess this Tyler, he was one of those guys that very quiet, doesn't say much of anything, but you could just tell he's legit. He's a real deal. They said he's like unbelievable calling an elk. So like if I had gone and I wanted Drea or Tyler or my guy, you know, my guy wasn't as accomplished a caller, Corey, but if you wanted somebody to take you out and you wanted to actively go after him, you know, it was like $6,500 for instead of, you know, so it's another $2,500 for the hunt.
Right.
And you can like go one-on-one with your guide, and they'll call you, and they were calling in bulls left and right. So
that, but were they doing that on the ranch, or were they doing that, they were leaving and going up onto public to do that?
They were doing that mostly on the public, and I think that's because they really wanted to keep their ranch herd intact. And there was bulls and cows, and you know, Tim was hunting on the border of the Gunnison. He was up hunting up top, and he actually hunted on the Gunnison at a place called D-Day. And he hunted that last year, and it's very remote. They drop you off, and you hike back over this mountaintop and drop down in, and there's a water hole right there. Tim says it looks like a meteor hit or something. It's just a crater with a watering hole. It ain't that big, but it's all sorts of game on it, you know?
Yeah.
So he went in there the first day, and then that night he was hearing bugling down below him in the valley, and it was on the move. And then he was thinking it might have been hunters, and eventually this guy and his wife or girlfriend or whatever, he sees or something coming or hears something coming, and it's them, and they come through by D-Day by his blind. He said they were only like 15, 20 yards away, and he's tucked up in this blind, the natural blind, you know, made with brush and everything. He said, then of course, you know, Tim, he's got camo paint on and everything. He's like all Rambo'd out, you know. And so they never saw him. But they went on by him. He's like, I wonder who the hell that is way back in here. I mean, they're miles from anything, you know. So when he was coming out, he walked back up over the top of the mountain and he saw some over there. It was like a orange and white dome tent with a couple of chairs there. He's like, what the hell? So he went over there and talked to him, and they had come in off some fire road. Somebody dropped them off up by Gunnison there. It's called Pilot Knob or something, and they hiked in from there. It was like 4 miles in.
Huh.
And they were spending the night there, and they were gonna hunt there a little bit, and then they're moving out and headed east and down to 133 to get out of there, you know.
Huh.
But there was a lot of all around Colorado. I couldn't believe like you're driving down I-70 and
there's trucks everywhere.
Trucks parked. I mean, it's like, holy cow, guys parked everywhere. And that Route 133, we got off at Glenwood Springs, and we headed down to Carbondale, and then you go down this Route 133, and it's like, I don't know, 45 minutes, 50 minutes down, and you go over a big mountain pass, and then you drop in by a reservoir, and then you drop into Somerset, which is like a sad little town, and then you're there. But all along the way, any different pull-offs. I mean, there was like horse trailers, mules, guys packing up on, I think that was Sunday, getting ready to go up in, you know.
Yeah.
So you don't realize how big it is out there, you know. I mean,
yeah, I mean, you think you're going places where people aren't going to be, and it's like,
yeah,
no, there's people everywhere. There's no shortage of, if you go to a spot, like that's what blew my mind in the spots that we go and we've been. It's like you're at the top of the world as the sun's rising, and you hear something below you, and you look down, and it's somebody trail running. You're like, what in the hell? You're 7.5, 8 miles from a road. What time did you leave your vehicle? You know, it's amazing. Like there's just people everywhere. And, but I half wonder, you know, with them having their approach to the, you know, keeping and not trying to disturb the elk there on the ranch, is that probably it's a long-term thing for them too, because they hunt there all through the, you know, the rifle seasons and everything as well. So they probably don't want to drive them off.
There.
Yeah. So that's totally understandable. I mean, they're trying not to, I'm sure they could probably kill them in archery, but that might really push them off of the property.
Yeah, they got 4 rifle seasons coming up,
you
know?
Yeah.
And that particular unit at 521, that's over the counter.
Is it?
For rifle.
I think a lot of the later rifle seasons, I think a lot of them are over the counter, which that's interesting. So when they where I was I wanted to kind of understand how the operation worked there, but then so when they get an elk, what do they do? So they bring the whole thing out. Do they gut it in the field, or do they bring the whole elk out? How the hell do they do that?
If they can get to it, they bring the whole thing out. And if they can't, they break it down and pack it out to one of the roads and then haul it back and put it. And they got a huge walk-in cooler, probably half the size of my basement. And they they get it in the cooler. But they have a truck. They have this old Nissan 4-wheel drive truck set up for retrieving elk.
Yeah.
And they got this thing welded up on the front. And there's like a long tow bar, like an A-frame tow bar. And what this thing does, it's got a pulley on the end, and they got a winch mounted on the front of the truck. And they take this thing sticks out far enough that they can pivot it up, and it's kind of back over the cab. And then they string the cable over that thing, and they'll use rope or chains, whatever they got to, and they'll stretch that out, and then they winch that elk up. And they built an extra long tailgate, so when you put the tailgate down, it's kind of pitched down.
Yeah.
And then when you're pulling up high like that, the head starts up on it, and they winch the elk right up in the back of this pickup truck.
Oh shit!
It's got big tires on it, 4-wheel drive, and so they go out and they actually like that. Very few elk. They told me they had to pack out one. They will. They'll get close enough to it with this thing, but
that's cool.
That's how. And then they bring it back and back it right under the gambrel. They got a chain fall there and hook on, pull them up. 3 of them boys get going skinning. Tyler and Jack and Corey, they skin them down, and quarter them out, and then there's another guy there, Pete, the guy that's the cook and kind of probably the camp manager. He takes care of helping getting them cut up or whatever. If you want to cut your own up, you can do that, you know. Like for me, if we got one, they would leave the elk whole. They would skin it down, you know, to let it breathe and cool it. And then they take it down to Payona, I think it's called, the town that's kind of like you go down driveway back to Route 133 and take a right. And I think Payona it's like Paonia, Payona or Payona. Colorado, there's a processor down there that does the elk for everybody. And he said they know the guys are like traveling, they're in from out of state. So like you take them an elk, he goes, they'll work all night, have it processed, frozen, packaged, everything good to go.
Yeah.
And, then you can get it. So they take care of all that for you, you know.
That's nice.
Yeah. You know, for the money, like I remember way back when I was a kid, there was a guy by the name of Ray Bodden that had a barbershop in Lima. Everybody, just like one barbershop, everybody went there, you know, and my father would go there and take all his boys and everybody get a haircut on a Saturday or whatever. But he always had like these outdoor life and sports afield magazines and you know, you'd see the elk, you know, and it was just something that was very, I don't know, nostalgic, or you're romanticized about being able to go out west, you know, and do that. So that was something I dreamt about since I was a kid. So it was cool just to go out there and spend a week up in the mountains, you know, and just a great facility as far as affordability, you know, for the hunt. I mean, all total, I think with travel expenses, gasoline, you know, not counting gear, but I don't count the gear because I'll use that whitetail hunting now, you know.
That's an investment.
Yeah, so that was an investment I should have made years ago. Now I got like top-notch hunting clothing like you and Jimmy have been wearing, and now I'm like, okay, now I get it. This stuff is unbelievable.
Yeah.
So I'm enjoying that, but you know, for $5,500, you got yourself an adventure, you know, and it's hunting, right? I mean, half the time you go hunting, you don't get anything. So I wasn't hanging my head when I left that I didn't connect or see one up in the woods. I heard them and saw all the sign. So it was funny on Monday, that day I told you it was really hot. We left, come out for lunch, and we had lunch and took a nap and then headed back out. And when I get back out, I get up in the stand, I look in front of me in the wallow. I'm like, son of a biscuit. Elk came in and rolled in the wallow. And when we were back there at camp, Tim was like, you know, I can't help but think maybe we should be hunting all day when it's this warm, because they're going to want to come out and cool off, you know.
Oh, God.
But the guide said they don't really come there to cool off. They're coming there. It's part of their rut routine, you know.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
but at any rate, one had been there during lunch.
Yeah, of
so
course.
Shame on me.
They probably watched you get up and leave and then went out and did it. And it's probably what happened. I mean, it's the way it goes. But it is. It's hunting, and archery elk is just, it's just so difficult, and you're just planning, you know, especially if you're doing what you did and it's a stand hunting situation. I mean, it's no different than deer hunting here. You could take a full 5-day work week or 5-day week here, and do a rutcation, and you could sit in a tree for 12 hours, 5 days in a row, and never have an opportunity to buck. I mean, that's just the way it works, you know. Or you could go out in your backyard for an hour when you got a chance, and you could have an opportunity. Like it's just being in the right spot at the right time. So
yeah, you never know.
I'm glad you you feel good about the trip and that it was beneficial for you, and hopefully you feel like you kind of scratched that itch, and you know it was probably a little bit of weight off your back, because it is a little bit intimidating to go out there and do that for the first time. I know it was for me, and
yeah, it was for me too, and just to be that far away, you know, and yeah, it was that was a big thing for me. I've never been on a guided hunt in my life, and you know, to travel somewhere far away and then, you know, go on a hunt like that, it was intimidating. And like you say, once you get into it and get going, you kind of settle in, you know, and there's a comfort. And when it's over, you're anxious to get on home, you know, like you say, you kind of scratch that itch and ready to get going, head back. And I guess a couple of things that were most stand out to me is I was, you know, I'm a rather big fella, right? So I'm like, you know, how am I going to handle this? The elevation. I know you got to hydrate. So like all the way out there, I'm like pounding the water, right? You'll laugh at this. Funny. So we leave Colby, Kansas, and it's steady uphill to Denver. You gain like, I don't know, 2,500 feet going from Colby to Denver. And I don't know if it was the elevation or what, but it's like we had to stop like every other exit for me to. I had to pee. You know, I was like peeing constantly. A couple times we didn't even make it 2 exits, and then we're in the middle of nowhere. There's no get, so we'd pull off, and you know, you're on a dirt lane, and we'd pull up the, you know, do our business and get back in the truck. It was so funny though. But the elevation didn't really bother me. I did fine with the
That's
elevation. Slept good and everything. So that end of it went well, and it was funny. I had no problem at all getting around, like walking, hiking, until you pull a grade, right?
Oh yeah.
I don't know if you've experienced that when you're out there.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I got a, you know, 500 yards or whatever. It was not uncommon to hike to your stand. I never measured it, but so I'd get to my stand, you know, and then when you come back, the last 100 yards or whatever is uphill, you know, and you're sucking wind by the time you get to the top of that. You know, I didn't have any problem doing it, but it was just like, holy cow. It was, so you feel that, and then, which like for a guy like myself, I don't know if it'd be worth it for me to hire Drea, because she'd be, or Tyler, one of them guys, because they'd be running all over the mountains. I probably wouldn't be able to keep up with them, you know.
Yeah,
but
you would prepare for that hunt differently, though. You know, that's
yes.
if you know that's what you're going to do, you'd be.
If you know that's what you're going to do, you got to prep for that, you know.
Right.
So I'll tell you, Tim. I told you about Tim. The first day he was at D-Day. The second day he was at it's called Bob's Stand. He hunted there the whole day. In the evening, he heard elk walking like behind him. He could hear all sorts of game moving through there. So he goes back there Wednesday. So then I think it was Wednesday in the midday when it was raining, we went back up in there and we took folding saws and stuff with us and pruners, and there was an old like an old roadway that went up through these aspen. Oh my God, absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah.
So you kind of went like you were going to go to this place called Bob's Stand, and there's like a meadow, and you get out, and then in the meadow you go up towards the aspen, and there's this road that goes up. You go on this road, and it was peppered with fresh elk tracks, and that went all the way up, and then it teed into a crossroad, and there's all along the Gunnison property line. There's a roadway on the ranch that goes along that property line, and it's not a roadway like, you know, you drive your pickup down. It's an old, you know, it's overgrown, but it's like that's the property line.
Yeah.
You would not believe that T intersection and the elk tracks up there and everything. So we actually built a blind there for Tim. Really nice blind. Tyler and Corey helped us, and we built the blind and set Tim up in there. But the wind was kind of wrong for the, what would it be, for the morning hunt. So he was going to hunt Bob's in the morning and hunt up top in the afternoon. They're probably 250 yards apart or whatever. So we were talking to Drea about it because she had a little blind. There was a ladder stand, that's Bob's stand, and then across the water hole, there was a little blind over on the bank. And apparently Drea had taken a client in there that had a bad knee, couldn't get around well, couldn't go up the ladder. So we asked her what she knew about that spot. She goes, I wouldn't sit in that ladder if I were you. She goes, I would get behind that ladder about 30 yards. And it's real thick in there. But then after about 30 yards, it opens up. There's a strip of aspen that's nice and open. She said, the game's moving through there. That's probably what you were hearing the other night. So he, next morning, he got up in there, and then he heard something down at the watering hole. So there's a big game trail there, like a highway comes down by Bob's stand. So he got on that game trail. You could sneak real quiet. And he snuck down there, and there was a cow and a calf down there. And he, you know, he saw him and everything, just couldn't get a shot at him. So they were there. And then when he hunted up above in the blind, Corey went with him in the morning on Friday, and they actually got into it. They were calling, and they had a couple bulls going.
Oh, cool.
So Tim got into him and actually saw him, and he moved around a bit.
Yeah.
He's and I don't know, he's been up there before, but he was like, no, I want to move. He didn't want to go back to D-Day because he didn't see good sign in there, and folks were, he'd seen them other hunters there. So, but he was very pleased with the hunt. Is he equally as pleased as he was the first time? It was very nice and enjoyed it. So I will tell you that you go out to do something like this and you worry about whether or not I'm 60, I'll be 61 in a couple months, and so I'm like, am I in good enough physical shape to do this and everything? I'm telling you, there was people there that were in their set, like Skip, that guy that shot the 5x5 the week before. He has terminal cancer and he's 78 years old.
Yeah.
He always wanted to kill an elk with a bow, and so he got his bull. But there was another guy there, was an older guy, and he's like hunchbacked, and he looked like a wreck, but he was hunting, he's having fun. There was a lot of people there that were my age and older. They weren't all young bucks, and I guess what I'm getting at is, for guys and gals later in life, this was it's a hunt that you can get into affordably, and physically you can handle it,
Yeah.
And then if you want to go hard, they also have a kind of a branch of the hunt that goes in that direction as well. So yeah, I thought it was all around a great outfitter. Not that I can have a lot to base it on, but everybody there, everybody you met was just nice. They're good people, really nice people. And I enjoyed that too. Me, I'm a people person. I like to get around and chat with people. But yeah, everybody was super nice. There's that camp atmosphere, just like at deer camp. You have a bunch of people stop up night before opening day, and some people don't know each other. They meet up and everything. Everybody's just great. It was.
That's cool.
Yeah, real
especially,
nice atmosphere.
Especially having that many people from that many different. It's not like everybody there knows like you're just a bunch of random people.
Yeah,
that's cool. And I think that's a really good point you just made, and I'm glad to hear you say that, because it is. I think like today, like the modern day, hunting media and culture and just everything that there is around it, is that if you're not, able to run 15 miles and, ripped and going to the gym 3 days a week and everything else, like you can't obtain these hunts and you can't do these things. And it's, in a way, it is kind of frustrating. And I don't know why, me personally, I've kind of been in this rut the last few weeks. Like, I think it's because this month of September has like whooped my ass. Our family routine has changed with Billy starting pre-K. So now like our work week is totally different than what it has been for the last 3.5 years, 4 years. So like everything's like changing, and like I'm at that point now. I don't know why it's happening, but I'm going into hunting season, and I'm very excited for hunting season, but I could really care less about like all of the frills and everything that goes with it. Like, I just can't wait to get out there and hunt. I can't wait to fill my freezer. I don't care what buck I shoot. I don't care. And
yeah,
I feel like that's something that I don't know where other people are at with that. I mean, everybody hunts for their own reasons, but at the end of the day, like I'm super excited for hunting season just to go out and hunt and kill and fill the freezer. And I might only get, like, I'm looking at October, Dad. My October schedule is a gauntlet. Like, I don't know how much I'm going to be able to hunt. And I love being home with the family. So it's like,
yeah,
I don't want to be at camp every weekend. It's not that I don't want to be there, but I also don't want to be away from Sarah and the kids. So I got to pick and choose my times, but it's like, luckily November looks like November is going to be a little bit loose in December as well. So I'll get my time in there, but I don't know. I think so much of, when you do what I do with the podcast, and I listen to all these hunting podcasts, and like, there's this silo and clique of like, everybody's just obsessed, like completely obsessed. Like, it's the only thing you care about in life. You don't think about anything else. You don't care about your family, your kids, or freaking work. It doesn't matter. It's like, I'm starting to like, I don't know, maybe somebody had a, what do you call that? When you sit down with somebody to try to, show them the light that it's not all that everything is.
Have an epiphany, right?
Yeah, an epiphany, or what the hell they call it when somebody's got like a drug addiction problem.
Oh, an intervention.
Intervention. I think, I don't know if I have my own intervention or what, but there's I don't know. Anybody who's been listening to this podcast for this year knows that there's a lot of things that I'm taking more seriously than hunting at this moment, and it's just I don't know. I think if more people hunt, more people express their reasons for hunting and not just worrying about the sizes of the buck, I think that more people could understand why we do what we do and understand that, the true pursuit of hunting. Our grandfather, you didn't grow up hunting for 140-inch buck. You grew up hunting to fill the freezer because the
3 inches is a legal horn.
Yeah,
that's what you'd.
Yeah, so
that's what we'd shoot. I'd shoot the littlest ones, shoot the biggest ones, whatever come along.
Yep.
But you know what I'll tell you is that it was very interesting to me. Like, you know how it is when you're at camp and like we're all around the table having cheese and crackers or a beer or something, and all of a sudden somebody rolls in, like you come back, maybe you've been hunting public, or Uncle Mike comes down off the South Hill. He finally gets back and, he's got a buck strapped to the back of his four-wheeler, and everybody gets up from the table and you go out to the meat pole. Everybody's around there. That's the way it was. Like, I mean, we're shooting, there was 2 cow taken while I was there, but, and a couple of them, I guess both of them, the boys weren't able to retrieve them and get them back to camp until we were done with dinner, which was like 9:30, quarter to 10. And, we're all back to our cabins, and then, somebody come running down. They're like, they're back. They're coming in with the elk. And everybody comes out of their cabins, and it's like everybody's up there. There's a whole crowd gathered around to watch them weigh it. And everybody's like, this Bruce guy, I never met him. I don't even know where, he came in like halfway through my week, so I never really got to meet him. But, everybody's like congratulating them, and you know what I mean? It was cool. Just like deer camp. Like everybody come out together and celebrate the harvest of the animal, and just really cool. And like I say, I did not honestly think that I would get one. I mean, I would have loved to get one. But it's really about the experience. And that's almost like every time you go hunting, like when we went to Letchworth and we did a hunt one time there last year, it's like, it was an adventure, and it was topped off because I was able to connect, right? But I didn't really expect I would,
Right.
But it's just hunting. It's being with people, being with your friends. And that camp, I mean, we exchanged numbers with people, and, we're going to stay in touch. And it's just like you make new friends and everything. There's people from California, Texas, Missouri, Illinois, Arkansas. I'm trying to think where else. Those are I think, no, it was Arkansas, a couple from Arkansas. So, and then Mike, the one guide there, the head guide, he's the same age as I am, and he's from up in Michigan. And he actually has a different business he does. And so it was really fun to meet the people. Food was great. You had a good, comfortable accommodations. People were great. I didn't get one, but that's okay. The experience was extraordinary. You know what I mean? It was like, I would never hesitate to send anybody their way. I mean, they did a super job. Really nice people.
That's awesome. Glad to hear it. I'm glad you had fun. I'm glad you enjoyed it, and I'm glad you're home. And I'm sure Mom's glad you're home. She was missing you, but I think she stayed pretty busy. So I think that was all good. That was a big thing for her.
That was a big thing for the both of us. We've been together like I think 39, going on 40 years, and we have never been apart from each other for more than like, I think the longest stint ever might have been 5 days, but I think it's like 4 days, and that'd be like I go to a conference or something, or go on a bear hunt. But and then to the contrary, though, I mean, we work together every single day. We were together every single day, 7 days a week for 10 years.
Yeah. Right.
So it's it was, and that's it's not a bad thing. It was a good thing. But it was. And you must feel the same thing when you take off and leave and go on a hunt like that, and you're leaving your kids and the wife at home, and it's hard.
It is hard. And it is good though. Like, last year with that trip, with having the 2 kids and Sarah was home, she was great with that trip, and she handled it like a. So, I mean, she did incredible. She took the freaking kids to Disney. She did. Her sister and mother and father were down at Disney with the kids because AJ and I were on the hunt, and you know, she decided she wasn't going to go because they had the whole COVID thing going on, so she wasn't going to go. And then they're down there and they're bussing. Come on, just there's a direct flight tomorrow morning. Take the flight. You know, so I'll never forget. I woke up I was sitting up on top of a pass the one day. I think it was Monday, and I get a message from her. She's like, it was just a picture message of just of a boarding pass to Florida. I'm like, what the freak, you know? I'm like, so, but she did that, you know. But it's,
yeah.
I think doing these trips is good for so many reasons. I think it scratches the itch. I think it disconnects you from the day to day, and that was probably one of the first times that you've ever been like completely off the grid for.
Yeah.
I mean,
crazy.
Yeah, and the first.
I texted you and Jimmy.
Yeah.
A picture or something. I said, just let you know the hunt's going well, and here's some pictures. You know, I'll be in touch soon. I have no voice, and I never heard back from you at all. You know, and I never got any text messages for whatever reason. The only text message that would come through was your mother's.
Huh? Maybe it was iPhone to iPhone, maybe something.
Well, and it was. I noticed. So when I hit Carbondale, we were going through Carbondale, headed to Glenwood Springs. All of a sudden, my phone just came alive, and I just like got a dump. I got the whole week's worth of text messages.
Oh God.
Yeah, I had like 42 text messages. So I don't know why that happened, but obviously we were out there.
Yeah.
You know, it was.
Yeah, that was what was your? I'm curious what your feeling was when you're sitting out there for the first time. You're sitting out there on stand with no cell service, no nothing, looking at, you know, the mountains. The one picture you sent us had the mountains. I saw a picture you posted somewhere, maybe you sent to Mom or something, and I was like, holy shit, like that is quite the view. But
oh my
what
God.
was your? I'll just tell you, like my first full day we spent up in Colorado, my first trip in 2017. Like I never felt so small. I never felt so meaningless. Like you're looking up at these mountains, and you're like,
oh.
Something could happen to me right now, and like the world could be, it doesn't even know, doesn't care, and
yeah.
the world could be going to shit. There could be a war going on or some crazy tragic event, and you don't have any clue up in those mountains. You are.
No, there's no news. We didn't, you know, we never saw news or nothing. But when I'm sitting in the stand and I'm looking at this mountain range, and I had those my binocs with me, you know, and I'm sitting in the stand looking at those mountains, and they're so steep. They're just rock chutes and slides and everything. And I don't know. I mean, they're tall. When I was up at my stand, I think I was around 8,500 feet, and those mountains are way higher than I was, and you know, a long ways away. But you just look at that and you ponder. You're like, has there ever even been a human being that has stepped on up in? You know what I mean? It's like you're seeing areas that maybe have never had a person there.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I don't know how you would get there. It's like the whole thing is just absolutely mind-boggling. You know, when you look at, it's so vast. So that was, when I sit there, I was like, I just couldn't believe it. I just could not believe that I was in Colorado up in the mountains with a view like that. I was in heaven. I just sat back and took it all in. And I'm a guy that doesn't mind sleeping in the tree stand, but I don't think I slept once the whole time I was there, you know?
Yeah.
Just like taking it all in. It was beautiful. The different sounds of squirrels. So it was really special. It was a great trip. I didn't tell you this, but we were leaving. We get back that day. I don't know if I told you this or not, but it was like I told Tim, I go, it's going to rain. We got to pack up and get out of here. We're going to be stuck in here because the road, when it rains, that's so greasy that, I mean, it's just like very dangerous.
Yeah.
And it's worse going down than coming up, right? So he's like, it's not supposed to rain today. I go, I'm telling you, from where I sit in my tree stand, I got a view and there's rain coming. And so we start packing up and we're going to load the truck, and we didn't make it in time. There started raining, and it was just a heavy shower came through. We threw all our shit in the truck and went back in the cab, and we ran up to get a sandwich. And I asked the guide, I go, you know, how long provided this rain shuts down, how long before the road will dry out and be safe to travel? He's like, I'd give it 2 hours. So I told Tim, we'll might as well sleep till 3, and then we'll get up and go. Sure enough, 2 hours. It was dry as could be. We drove down out of there. We get down to Route 133, and there's a creek, or I don't know if I'd call it a river. It's smaller than a river, bigger than a creek. There's a nice water flow that you look down on. So you come out, you turn left on Route 133, and there's like a guardrail, and it drops off down to a creek, and you're looking on the other side's a mountain, goes right up, nice, real steep, And as soon as we make the turn, Tim's like, "Holy cow, look at that." He goes, "Is that elk in the creek?" And there's like no traffic or anything. So he pulls up and pulls over, and there's 6 cows in the creek drinking. And we couldn't believe our eyes. So we're watching these, and then he looks farther up. He's like, "Oh my God, there's a bull." And it was a 6x7. So I'm like, "Well, the hell with the cows, pull up to the bull." So he pulls up there, and we get a picture of the, I got some pictures. They're not great, but we were able to see this bull. And then the cows got spooked by us sitting there, and they came out of the creek and went through these pines down the bottom, and then went right up this rock slide. Like you wouldn't even, like you and I would be crawling on our hands and knees trying to get up, but they went up at like nobody's business. And then they took a left and went into this pine thicket and this heavy cover. So it was, and then the bull just casually turned. Then 2 more cows came from our side, crossed that creek, and went up in there. And then the bull turned around, and he just walked majestically right up that rock slide and caught up with his cows. And that was us leaving camp. That's what we got to see. It was pretty cool.
That's fitting.
Yeah, it was fitting.
It's awesome. Well, I enjoyed that recap. That was a good discussion. I'm happy to hear it, and I'm glad you had a good time.
Yeah,
And
thank you.
now we got you broke in, so
I know, right?
We can go on a hunt. Really, I think I think next year I'd like to try. But I think I would need to do something. I want to do a hunt next year, but it's going to have to be something later in the fall, like into October or something, because he'll be starting school officially next year, and Kate going to pre-K, so it's not going to work first couple weeks of September, but I'm thinking something in October is on my list. So we'll have to start thinking about that.
One of the things I look forward to is, when I look at like budget-wise being retired, if I wanted to go again next year, would I have the money? And it's like, it'd be a little tight. I'm really, and your mother's on board with it with me, I really want to get a barn built next year. I want to start working this year, lining up a builder. And I think that's going to have to be that's the other next thing on my bucket list that I want to go hard after is getting myself a nice pole barn,
Well,
I
guess the moral of this is I'm in no rush to go on a guided hunt, but I want to go on a guided hunt with you, and especially if we get me, you, and Jimmy, and like Uncle Tim, we get a few of us together from the family to go do a hunt. We could plan it 3-4 years out, and do something like that.
So the other side benefit of this is there's like, you don't want to, I felt like I didn't want to be that guy that shows up on an elk hunt and I'm not proficient with my weapon, right? Like I'm like, oh, sorry, shot it in the ass or something, or caught the front shoulder. So I shot my bow a lot, right? I got a new bow. The boys down at Huntworks tightened me up with a new bow, arrows, everything, right? And I'm telling you, I was shooting so good. And I shot up there like every day. I would shoot just to keep the reps going,
Yeah.
And I'm ready for whitetails. It's like, I've never, set a target up at 45 yards and drop them right in there. It's like I'm shooting better than I ever have. I've had weeks this summer where I shot 1,000 reps,
That's great.
And or 1,000 arrows, and it was like not every week, but a lot of. I shot hundreds of times. So, I'm ready, and I'm very proficient with a bow, very comfortable with it, and I've never been, so practiced and proficient with my bow as I feel like I am this year.
Yep.
So that's exciting. I'm ready for whitetail season, and I don't need anything. Whatever gear I needed, I got to go on this hunt. So I'm locked and loaded, ready for whitetails.
Awesome. And we'll need to start changing gears here a little bit to kind of start. We're basically just, we didn't do like any, preseason. I didn't really feel like having many discussions about tactics and thoughts like that, because there's just so many great podcasts out there that are doing it, that it's like I'm not going to say anything that's revolutionary to that. And I could get some of the same people on here to say the same things they're saying. John Teeter's got his own podcast now. Ben Williams has got his own podcast now. Like all these guys that were our people that were, like coming on the show. It's awesome. They've got their own content now. So like go consume that from them. Like I want to bring different levels of discussions here. And that's what I've been trying to do over the last year. And, so I got a couple people like Austin Cantola, the owner there of Genesis 3D Printing. He and his dad and his brother went on a Colorado muzzleloader elk hunt, and they had success on the first day. So I'd like to I haven't talked to Austin about it, but I'd like to get him on here to hear that story, because that sounded pretty awesome. But nice. We're starting to get people. There's people that have already shot some does in this early season. So I got a couple people I want to get on here to talk about that, and then we're just gonna get rocking and rolling right into deer season and kind of just do our normal Breeding Them Radio, where we get on and just talk throughout the season about what we're seeing, what we're doing, and share some of our good times at camp, and that's what I'm anticipating for this season with the podcast. So good. The other thing that we're going to be doing, I talked to Ben Williams yesterday, and he seems game for it. Sounds like we're going to do it, but he's doing his own podcast. He's doing it through Bullhorn, just like we are, to do the live shows. So he's got the video on Facebook and the video on YouTube, and then the podcast is on Bullhorn, but he doesn't have a podcast hosting service to publish it out to all the different streaming. So what I'm going to do, Ben and I talked yesterday, I think we're going to move forward with it, is, he'll get the audio from his week's show of, he's calling it Whitetails and Whiskey, and he's just getting on there and just doing Q&A and just talking through what's going on and different topics. Is we're going to probably get that show and put that on here. With, if you're subscribed to Pert Near Outdoors, you'll just get that additional content that will get pushed out to you. So, it's funny. That's seeing, a
great idea.
Yeah. Like it's something that just kind of hit me the other day. I'm, with my family growing and there's just not enough time in the day to do all these things. Like I missed the last 2 weeks of the podcast, and it frustrates me, but just like, I could have come down to the basement and recorded some bullshit 20-minute podcast, but it's just like, I'm exhausted. I don't have time. And it's there's all this stuff already out there. So anyway, my thought was, I'm seeing all these other podcasts are going and doing this. The guys from Antler Up, they just jumped on the Sportsman's Nation, the same platform that John's on with his podcast. So, I'm like, why don't we get a few people that are creating content locally here? And if there's anybody out there, I know I've got friends that are doing stuff or might think they want to do stuff. If you want somewhere to post your content, we're here. Like all I need to do is just add storage to our monthly subscription with our hosting service, and we can post as much content as we want. So
nice.
That's kind of my thought. I'm kind of throwing that out there for anybody who might be interested in jumping in and doing that, because we've built this thing up. It's not massive, but we've got a following. We've got subscribers to the podcast. We've got, the YouTube, and YouTube's not much, but we've got the Instagram and Facebook following, and it's a place where people can get their stuff out. So, if you're out there and you're listening to this and you want a place to post your stuff, get in touch with me. I'd be happy to do that. I'd love to grow what we're doing here, but grow it, with the community and with the people out there that are doing stuff that we believe in. And just a thought and an idea. So
good thought.
Yeah.
You talk about other people that got out. There's a gal that used to drive for me. Or she's still driving there. I'm gone, but she was a bus driver here in town, and have known that family for a long time. They're from West Bloomfield, but her son got an elk. She sent me a picture of her son with a bull elk, and apparently he got it in PA.
Oh, no.
Which
Really?
you know,
So
I
he
think
drew
there's
one
like
of the PA
what, 10,
tags?
yeah, there's like 10,000 applicants for 178 tags or whatever it
Oh,
is.
it's
I
more
mean,
than
don't quote me
10,000. It's
exactly.
like 100. It could be hundreds of thousands of people that apply for those.
Yeah. And he apparently, I got to check with her, but apparently he drew a tag. He's from West Bloomfield, and he went down to Pennsylvania and connected. So
No shit.
I got it. You know, Grunmans and those guys from
Is it Derek Ulmer?
What's that?
Who is it?
It's Domville, Albert,
Okay.
Kelly Domville.
Okay. Yeah, I would.
So
That'd be if I don't know if you'd be interested in telling that story, but that'd be cool. I mean, that's a
I know. I think it'd be cool to get a local guy from upstate New York that got. I mean, who do you know that's got an elk in Pennsylvania? I don't know anybody. You know.
yeah, that's incredible.
So I got to verify, make sure I wasn't misunderstanding it. She's out of town this week. When she gets back this, excuse me, when she gets back this weekend, I'm going to reach out to her and I'd like to talk to him and see if maybe we'd like to share the story on here. So
Yeah, that'd be cool.
the other thing I did, I took the liberty of inviting Corey Pancake, the young fellow that was our guide. I told him we'd like to have him on, do an episode with him just to hear his story about how he got hooked up with guiding elk and what it's like, how he juggles that, and
Yeah.
you know what it's like living that life with all the different clients. That, you know, I mean, like he told us he loved us. He remembered Tim from doing Tim and Chris last year, and when we came in, you know, and he was like, "I'll take them guys." And but he goes, like, not all the clients that come in here are as much fun as you guys, you know. Like Tim would have a little cooler of beer packed. He's like, before you come get us, you go down to our cabin. There's a cooler, you know, and you bring the soft-sided cooler up, and there'd be a beer in there for him, and we'd all have a beer together. And
Yeah.
you know, he said some of the guys get like getting all torqued if they're not seeing elk or not. You know what I mean? It's just like they're not easy going.
Yeah.
He said not everybody is as friendly, but it'd be interesting to hear his, like, what's it like being up there for 7 weeks or 8 weeks, you know?
Yeah, that would be
So
awesome.
I thought we would do that when he gets back to Illinois, so he has internet and stuff.
Yeah, that would make it much
And,
simpler.
You'll love this. He comes up to welcome us to camp, and he's got a water or a power drink or something. But he's got it in a Pert Near Outdoors koozie
From last year?
from last year. He's still using it.
No shit, that's awesome.
Tim's like, "Hey, you still got the koozie?" He's like, "Hell yeah, man." He's like, "Yeah, I love Pert Near Outdoors." He's
That's fantastic.
So Tim took a bunch of stickers and left him with some stickers and stuff. And
Awesome, that's cool.
so I gotta, you know, I know we got some new merch that you got out. I'm gonna order him like a T-shirt or a hoodie or something and send it to him, and one for his father. His father was in camp this year.
Oh, cool.
Muzzleloader elk hunting. His name is Todd, and so I got to meet him. Super nice guy. It's like him and I could be brothers. We're so much alike. And he just retired in end of June as well. So he's a new retiree, same age as I am, and he was up there elk hunting. So I want to send him some merch and have Corey on.
That'd be
our
cool.
podcast maybe later this fall or over the winter in January or something, you know.
Yeah, that'd be very cool. Yeah, that'd be
Yeah.
a great thing to do after the craziness of season's over and everybody gets a chance to
Yeah.
calm down and then get some of these cool stories on. That would be neat.
Yeah.
And
Awesome.
you and I need to get together to get. I want to get you more involved now that you've got the elk hunt behind you. I could desperately use your help to do a lot of this stuff too. So we need to make a point to get together.
Yeah, just need to spend a little time and bring me up to speed on some of this stuff, and
Yep.
can help out a little bit with it.
Roger that. All right. Well, I'm gonna wrap her up.
Yep.
I think the last thing I want to say is I don't know if you saw this cool looking hoodie I'm wearing, but
Well, I saw on Instagram that you got your new camo.
yeah. So I got half of my order. So I ordered some of the new Origin Hunt line product when it came out with the pre-order back in. It was actually about a month ago today, actually. And they said it would be 3 to 4 weeks before you get these 3 pieces. And sure enough, yesterday, those 3 pieces showed up in the mail. I was pretty excited about that. So I got I got their base layer T-shirt. It's all the same. This is like a tiger print. This is their woodland, so it's more green, darker colors for kind of Eastern style hemlocks, hardwoods, things like that. And so this is the hoodie I got. This is kind of it's like a kind of a heavier cotton, like cotton feel, but it's not cotton. I forget what exactly the material is. Should be a tag here. What is it? It don't matter all that much, but it's 15% cotton, 85% polyester, a little bit of spandex in there. But this thing is, I wore it today. It was cold today. It was like 55 degrees.
Yeah.
And I threw this thing on, and I mean, very comfortable, very nice fitting hoodie. And I don't know how much I'll actually wear this hoodie hunting, but extremely nice hoodie. It's the first piece of clothing I bought from Origin. And then the T-shirt is extremely comfortable. That's just your kind of light base layer. And then also the other piece was like, they call it their Ninja hoodie. And it's got the, it's one of those lighter weight hoodies that you can wear that's got the face mask, but that's actually, it's made with wool. So I'm interested to see how that performs. It fits me great. All three pieces, their fit and finish is outstanding. And
nice.
And I'm excited to see how that hoodie wears and handles, because the Sitka hoodie that I have, that's the core lightweight hoodie that's kind of equivalent to this, that is it's 100% polyester, and it stinks. Like if you sweat in it, you freaking reek. Like, and you wear that hoodie, that core lightweight hoodie, you wore that as a base layer when it's hot. That's like that's your goat, that's just what you wear in that Sitka layering system. So this piece, I'm very interested to wear it and get out and actually run it, because it's wool. Like you pick it up, it is a wool piece. It is not polyester. So I think there's a little bit of polyester in it, but it's got that wool texture to it. So I'm guessing it's going to be a little bit, it'll probably handle the different temperatures pretty well, but it'll do well if you're a little bit wet and sweaty. It'll still retain heat, but then it will also keep you warm when it's a little bit cooler out. So
nice.
Yeah, I got 3 more pieces coming from them. I bought everything that they had. I bought one of each because I wanted to try it all. So I've got the more outer layer pieces will probably be coming here in the next 3-4 weeks. So looking forward to getting my hands on that, but very impressed with the quality of stuff. I think it looks great, and it's extremely well built. So pretty fired up to have this stuff to try out this year and report how it performs.
Yeah. Did you sell your 4-low?
No.
How'd
So
you make out with that?
I've sold the majority of my Sitka stuff. I still have I kept a few pieces of my Sitka gear that are like really war. Like I beat the snot out of them, and I'm not going to try to get money for them. But I got some different subalpine pieces, but I still have a core lightweight hoodie. I did sell Jeff Jones. I did sell Jeff Jones a few pieces, but the core lightweight T-shirt, I sold him that where he said it was a little bit small, and he wanted to know if there was any return policy, and I told him to just give it to his son, who's 4 years old. But I'll probably be taking that back from him. So I've got in my Sitka stuff, I've got a core lightweight T-shirt, core lightweight hoodie, and I've got, I believe, a pair of pants that are the open country pattern, but the mountain pant, I think, is what they are. They're a really nice pant, and I think anybody would be happy with that stuff. So if anyone's interested in any of that, let me know. I still have some of that Sitka gear left, and I didn't move any of my 4-low stuff. I think it's interesting because 4-low doesn't have the name recognition. The brand doesn't.
Yeah.
For anybody that doesn't know what it is, it's another. So this stuff from Origin, 100% American made. Everything from the ground up. It's all the fabrics, all the materials, all the stitching, labor, everything is done right here. This stuff came from North Carolina, and so it's just awesome. And the pricing, you can go on their website, Origin. Just go to Google and search Origin Hunt or Origin Maine, and you'll get right to their website. But their pricing is, I couldn't believe it. When I opened it up, I was expecting like very, very high end pricing.
Yeah, real high end.
And I was shocked when I saw it. I was like, wow, like this stuff is priced very competitively, and I'm getting it, and I'm like, the quality is outstanding. So you're getting something that's 100% American made, high quality, and the price is competitive. Use promo code Harvey10, you get 10% off your order if you order something from there. So that's cool. But on the Forlow end, Forlow, is kind of doing the same thing. They came out about a year and a half ago with their product line, 100% American made, same ordeal. So I've kind of been trying to go that route with my stuff because I'm pretty passionate about, supporting domestic made products and American workers, and the Forlow stuff performed really, really well last year. So as I was selling all of my Sitka stuff and that stuff was flying as I put that up for sale, I'm looking at it going, Jesus, like I'm selling like all of my stuff. So it's like, you go out and hunt and you get something wet one day, and you got to get out and hunt the next day, or the morning hunt, you get wet and you need something for the evening. I was like, maybe I should hold on to this Forlow stuff. If there isn't a huge demand for it, hold on to it. The stuff performs awesome. I'm super happy with the product. So I'm probably just going to hold on to my Forlow stuff and then use my Origin stuff as well. And those will be my two sets of gear that I'm wearing. And that'll take me, that's what I love about this stuff, is it'll take me from hunting in September all the way to January 1.
Exactly.
It's good stuff.
Unbelievable.
So, yeah.
Well, the reason I asked, I thought of you when we were up in the lodge having dinner one night, and I looked up at the ceiling, and there's a huge banner, this huge banner up on the ceiling that had on the left, it was like Bear Creek Outfitters, and it showed like the guy, kneeling there with a big bull elk, and it was Forlow. Forlow was a sponsor.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It made me think of you when I saw the Forlow clothing.
That's interesting.
Gear products that they have. So they're somehow a sponsor or affiliated with that.
Were any of them wearing the stuff?
Yeah.
They were. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, I don't have a bad thing to say about the product. The product performed extremely well. I'll tell you that the one thing that really it kind of chaps my ass about the company is that they've gone the route of trying to market their stuff with good-looking women, and it's just a personal thing. Like it's just kind of irritating because I see what they're doing. Like they've gone out and gotten the hot 30, 25, 30-year-old chicks to be their marketing faces out there wearing their gear. And then you look at Origin, and Origin went out and they partnered with Kip Folks and with Cam Hanes and Joe Rogan and Jocko. Like they're going after. It's interesting to me. So it's not that I want to support Jocko because I use all of his products. I use all of his supplements. That's a brand that I like fully support. So when they came out with this, I was like, freaking hell yeah, I'm all in. Like I love that he's doing this, and I love what that company is about. And they just never had any products that were really that appealing to me at Origin as far as the clothing goes, because it was mainly MMA, martial arts type stuff, and it just didn't trip my trigger.
Yeah, I think about a year ago they announced that they were going to be building this line.
Yep.
And I think there's a lot of veterans involved in that too.
Yeah, their whole business is amazing, and I think the way that they've marketed the process of them coming out with this line has been very cool, because you can see the struggles and the challenges that are behind a company building something here in America. And I mean, that podcast that Jocko did with Pete, the owner of Origin, just talking about all the challenges and the things that they did in this past year. It's like, how could you not want to, we all work hard for our money. Why would you not want to spend your hard-earned money on high-quality American-made goods with a company that's doing the things that they're doing? It's like, take my money. It's like, not the Sitka gear is freaking incredible. First Light, freaking incredible. But that stuff is, you're paying incredibly large amounts of money for, and God knows where it's made, where the product's coming from, who the people are that are touching it. It's like, I don't know. I feel really good about spending my money in places where I know where it's being made and who it's supporting. So those are my reasons, and everybody's got the reasons for why they wear what they wear, and that's why I'm doing it. So
Yeah, I'll tell you, I bought some First Light. I didn't buy a lot, but I bought like the lighter, if you'd say early season or clothing that I could also wear bow hunting.
Mm-hmm.
And I bought the Catalyst pants and the Catalyst vest and the Origin hoodie. And the Origin hoodie's got the built-in like face mask, and the hood cut. I mean, the stuff was like unbelievable. I'd get wet, but I didn't feel wet, and I'd dry right out. It was just like it was like the best hunting clothing I've ever worn. And it's, whether it's Sitka or First Light, like you say, or if it's Forlow or the Origin products from Jocko and his crew. I mean, you spend the money on good clothes and you'll never regret it.
Yep. Spot on.
Yep. So.
And the stuff holds the stuff. Once what I've learned from this whole thing with trying to sell gear is that once a brand has brand recognition and there's a hunger from people out there to get it, like you can sell Sitka gear, you could sell First Light, you can sell that stuff. All you gotta do is just start typing the words on Facebook or Instagram in your story or on your page. You just start typing, I'm selling Sitka, and everybody's like, I want it. What do you got? Send me a message.
Yeah.
It's like, it's crazy.
Right.
So once there's a value established for a good, it's very simple to move it. That's why I look at it. It's like, I've got the Kafaru packs, and I could go on these different buy, trade, sell groups. I could go on there right now and I could say, I've got this pack for sale, and I could get 75% of what I paid for it. It's just the stuff holds its value. It's high quality gear.
What's the other manufacturer of the packs? I want to say it was like, I don't know how you say the name. It was like KUIU.
Oh, KUIU. Yeah.
Is it KUIU? So Dion, one of our roommates, he had one of those packs. It was a big ass pack, and I mean, it was nice. And he had a bunch of gear he bought. I go, how much that set you back? Those packs are expensive, And he's like, I have no idea. I went online and bought all the stuff I thought I'd need. I can tell you what it was total, but I don't know what any of it was individually. I didn't pay attention.
Yeah.
But that was a big pack. And does Kafaru or any of those packs, do they have a built-in or like a rain? I know sometimes when you're hunting out west or on these remote hunts, I mean, if it's raining, you want to cover your pack. You have like a rain liner that goes over the outside or something, or
yeah. I mean, I actually have.
Buy that separate.
You can buy them separate. I mean, you can get bag covers. So like, different backpack. I mean, every backpack brand has their own different little gimmicks and gadgets that they have. But like my Kafaru pack doesn't have one, but my Cabela's pack that I bought, the first frame pack I ever bought, the Cabela's bag had a rain fly that you could pull out from one of the zippers, and I just took that rain fly and I use it now for my Kafaru bag. If I'm going on a hunt where I know there's a chance of precipitation, I just throw that. It's tiny when you fold it up. I just throw it in there, so I've got that I can pull out over it. Same thing with my bino harness. Like I had a Badlands bino harness at one point, and I had a zipper on the back that was like on your chest side, and you can unzipper that and then pull the little rain fly that fit over the bino harness.
Okay.
That was really nice too. I use that all the time, and I actually took that off of that, and I use that on my current bino harness, which doesn't come with one, but use that. So I think those little rain flies are great things to have, because often you do get yourself in some weather, and like you experienced, it's great if your body's dry, but if all your shit's dry or soaking wet in your backpack, you're done.
It's like everything in my pack was wet, and it's like that's the one thing that was a takeaway I had, that like I would have some sort of a rain fly to go over that. And like the second day out, I took a garbage bag. I went up and got a garbage bag from the main lodge, and I put it over my pack, So, but it's just like you got to have something if you're going to be out there in that rain like all day.
Yeah.
My bino harness got, my case got wet. I mean, I had to dry that out, get the binos out of it.
Yeah, it's no different. It's no different than hunting back east here. I mean, the majority of our deer season is wet snow or rain I recommend, if people are looking, to go and get some sort of a rain fly. I mean, you can buy them cheap on Amazon, but you can get, there's a lot of blaze orange ones and stuff out there. I love seeing those, especially when we're doing some of these big group hunts. Like if somebody's got a backpack on, if you can throw a blaze orange cover over that, it's on your back.
Yep.
I mean, nobody's seeing that. And if you're wearing you should be wearing a blaze orange vest, and your backpack covers that. So
Right.
it is nice to have that.
That's a good
the
tip.
back of you
Yeah.
covered in blaze orange. That's always a good thing to have, for sure.
Yep. All righty, Willie. We should wrap it up.
We should. All right. Nice chatting with you.
Great chatting with you.
Yep. Look forward to seeing you this weekend.
Thanks for having me on.
24 hours, I'll be hopefully falling asleep at your house. So.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right.
Look forward to seeing you.
Enjoy your evening.
Yeah, you too. See you, bud.
See you.
Feeding them.
Feed 'em. Love you.
Feed them. Love you. Bye-bye.